You ever had that happen where something was pulled out of you? Because I know some of us, and Trish, maybe you can speak to this. You just had a show recently, and there was a lot of preparatory work for the show because you were putting things on display. So you already knew what you wanted, right? You had to create a vision for the show. But were there things that happened that were outside of your vision at first? Where maybe somebody said something, something got put in a position that you weren't expecting. I don't know. Something was birthed out of it, and it was around just being present and responding from a state of spontaneity. What do you guys think? Yes, synchronicity. Valerie says synchronicity. There are these synchronistic moments. Hi, Joe O'Reilly. I hope you're feeling better. I have found in my classes, so I teach a lot, and Tuesday night in particular, if you were at a recent Tuesday night, I have a conversation narrative that I know I'm going to talk about. And then my students are there and we start having a dialogue. And then something else comes through, and it has to do with being present to the energy that's there, has to do with getting out of the way and saying inwardly, use me. Use me to share what needs to be shared with these sweet souls in this moment. Now, I think that's something we can cultivate because it requires a level of trust, a level of letting go, a level of trusting in your skill and your faculty. I think that grew in my consciousness over the years of teaching. I would show up to class, I would teach, I would have a curriculum, and then something would happen and I would end up going maybe a little bit down a different path, and something was always shown. And I ended up knowing things that maybe, I'm going to go there, maybe they were from another life. Because in this life, I've definitely felt like a warrior who has come back, and this time not to be a warrior of fear or anger, but to be a warrior of love. And there were things that I knew how to do that I don't remember my sensei ever teaching me. And yet there they were. So Trish says, where did it go? Yes, the lights blew out. Okay, so the lights blew out in your show. So Trish is an amazing artist. You guys should check her out. And she said, my art was too complex. I realized I had to talk to each person to explain what I was doing with the augmented reality in the physical art. I told my true story, and when that came out, I made connections. Isn't that beautiful? Sometimes we're not thinking, I'm going to share this particular story, or as you say, my true story, and something happens and it pulls out another level, another layer of that which is meant to be. What do you think about all this, Barb? I know you love getting into flow state. She says, yep, spontaneity has such cool flow. You know, when you were driving the taxi cab, and I don't know if you still do, but you've told me these beautiful stories about people being in the back, and then you would just, the voice of love would share through you. And I bet you didn't get into the cab that day, the car that day, knowing that that's what you were going to share. And you were in flow, spontaneity strikes, and love flows. And isn't that so beautiful how it is? And Barb says, you helped me recognize the flow of spontaneity of love that comes through me. Well, it was so obvious. You made it very easy to recognize because you are a bright light. Ron Allen says stories are the way to teach. I agree 100%. I mean, when we were little children, how did we learn? Through stories. And the times that they forced us to be mechanical, we were like, I don't want to do it that way. Make it fun. Make it storytelling. Yes. Trish says, I've always been embarrassed to talk about. Okay, so she's sharing a little bit here with you guys that she went through cancer. And so there's a cancer story and a cancer journey. And her art is reflective of that journey. And it's amazing. She said, you helped me learn my truth. You know, maybe that's one of the most beautiful things that we can do is have the vulnerability to express and share so that others see that in us. And they're like, well, gosh, you're willing to do that. And you had a strength through that. Maybe I can too. But there's something that we have shared with people along the way, which is telling a story or sharing a story can be a very sensitive thing. And you don't want to share your wound. You want to share the scar. So you don't share something when you're still feeling super vulnerable and you're just not sure how that might come through you yet because you're still in a healing phase. But after the healing has taken place and the wound is covered and healed and the scar is there, now we can talk about, oh man, remember that? Like I've got one right here. I don't know if you guys can see it. Okay, there's a long scar right there. That's the time that the shark got a hold of my arm. I'm kidding, but it was pretty intense. I got run over by a propeller on a boat. I was pulling a boat out with a friend. He started the engine and tried to go very quickly over the waves, and I got pulled under the boat and it ran over my arm. That's the scar. So I can talk about it now, but not when it was all busted up. Mr. David Beagley, good to see you, my friend. How are you doing? How are you feeling? Lovely that you're popping in here. So Trish says, I shared the healing and my art series is the healing bark. Beautifully stated. That's it. So many of us have bark, scar, story that is so valuable to other people. And by sharing those stories, we truly make massive impact. I think it's true, Ron, what you say. Stories are the way to teach, and they're also the way to learn. We're more open and receptive when we're listening to a story rather than a bunch of bullet points and a philosophy, right? It's incredible. Truly incredible. Barb says, I never had a plan, but I knew love was always going to show up in an amazing way. Can we all agree to that? That if we just get present, that love will show up through us in an amazing way, and we don't need to know how? Isn't it more fun to be in the mystery of it? Sometimes, I don't know if you've had this, where you're the kind of person who likes to plan out every step of the way on a vacation. And you know exactly where you're going to go and what you're going to do and when you're going to meet this person, which restaurant, which hotel, and all of that. And I get it, right? That's cool. But isn't it also awesome when you don't know where it's going to go and that you can mold and adapt and flow and be spontaneous? Because there's magic inside not knowing sometimes. The universe has a way of connecting dots above and beyond our mental intentions. The universe it's a mystical place. So David says he is slowly recovering, resting, and allowing and noticing. I won't share exactly what happened, but David was in the middle of a 3-day boot camp with us, and he got rushed to have a surgery. He's okay, and it's the kind of surgery that you can bounce back swinging and be fine from, but it was, I don't know, I think it was unexpected. So glad you're doing better, buddy. Really glad. And as Barb says here, trust that spontaneity is just as it's supposed to be. It's so important. It's where the magic is. 100%. I hear little footsteps. What could that mean? Could that mean we're about to have a drive-by? Oh, they got quiet. Maybe not. It'll be spontaneous. All right. Thanks, guys, for playing along with me tonight. I really thought that this would be a cool conversation because, like I said, I came here not knowing what would be shared, but I knew this. I could sit down in front of this portal. I could turn on this show and I could be here with my friends and I could just allow love to share. And that you guys would be here and you would help me. And so it's all good. Like, we don't have to be so tense and bound up with life. I think there's a net here, right? There's a net of love that's almost like a hammock. And it is, if we allow ourselves to relax into it, it's a good ride. And it can be very enjoyable not knowing all the time how everything's supposed to be. There's a place for that. There's a place for letting go, for surrendering, for trusting something bigger than us. I heard somebody say this years ago. It had to do with how the universe manifests through us. And we might be calling for something, desiring something, and we get a response. And you get 3 different responses. And the first one is, yep, there you go. You are aligned, there you go. And then you get another one. Yeah, but not just yet. A little longer. You get a little more cooking to do. And the third is no. No, I have something better for you. Ta-da!
Are you doing the Sabrina show?
Yeah, what did you think I was doing?
You snuck and did it without
I
inviting
snuck!
me?
I invited you.
He didn't invite me, guys.
Of course I did. I said, will you do a drive-by tonight? It's so much better when the Brina's here. You make me look good.
Hey, friends.
We're talking about spontaneity.
Oh, I'm packing lots of things so that I can be spontaneous while we're away.
So you have options.
I have so many options to be spontaneous with.
Let's talk about these options.
You want to? I'm ready. Dare me.
Let me just finish this thought. David's here and he's healing well from his surgery.
Oh, good.
Trish had an amazing show and she shared about the journey of healing through cancer, and that we talked about don't share wounds, share.
Art show.
Yeah, don't share the wound, share the scar.
Yeah.
And her art show is more like the bark. And Barb Gibson is here, and we're talking about being spontaneous and sharing the voice of love. And now you're here to talk to us about your wardrobe.
Oh, what would you like to know?
Let's do it like the late night show. Welcome, everybody. Sabrina Truscott, thanks for stopping by.
Oh, well, thank you,
Yeah,
Tristan, for having me. You know, I watch your show, and I'm just so thrilled to be a guest this
I'll tell
evening.
you what, this is amazing. We got an amazing lineup, but I'd say you are like, you're the one to beat, because look at you. Look at you. You're in a
look at
movie.
me.
Tell us about this new movie.
Well, it's so surprising that during this awkward time in society that I've booked 2 movies.
2 movies. So this will be your second movie, and you're filming tomorrow?
Yes.
In San Diego.
Yes.
This is amazing. I mean, I saw you in your last performance. It was incredible. I mean, there's nothing like a Sabrina Truscott sitting in a chair, staring down the barrel of a camera, sharing love. Now, tell us a little bit about this one.
Well, what's exciting and terrifying about this one is I said, what do I need to prepare? And they said, nothing. Come not knowing anything so that we can capture the moment.
Truly spontaneous.
And, right? Both at the same time.
Now, this is actually a real movie we're talking about.
Yes.
So
it's a movie about women in business and all of the mindset. You know, I was telling today I got my hair more blonded, and I was telling my my hairstylist and really, really good friend Edward, many women have accepted that you can have equal job, but that the man may be paid a little bit more. Why is that? So it's a lot about females. It's a lot about embracing the millionaire within you, embracing the health within you. I was driving home today and I was thinking, if I had crazy health, which I feel like I do, no one looks at that and go, you're hogging all the health, Sabrina. That's making me feel bad about myself. You're hogging it all, right? That doesn't happen. It's like, she has abundant health because that's where she puts her energy. And if we planted flowers all over our yard, front and back, people would drive by and they're, oh my gosh, look at all those flowers. But they wouldn't say, she's hogging all the flowers. There's less for me now. They would probably say, what are you planting? What fertilizer are you using? How are you watering them? How can I? But when it comes to financial abundance, there's this programming in so many of us that says, oh, you're a have. You're taking from the have-nots. Isn't that interesting? It's like this weird energy that we do around prosperity and financial abundance and the energy of that, where for me, what I long to do more and more every day is to look at someone with a garden of financial abundance and say, what kind of fertilizer are you using, man?
Well, you're doing it beautifully. I mean,
what are you planting? And can you show me how? And that's really what Satori is about. The way that we just did one of my favorite 3 days ever. We did an event called Start Teaching Today. And it was really like, here's what we're planting, and here's how we're fertilizing it, and here's how we're watering it. And this is why we have all the flowers, and you can too. So that's kind of
That's what's going on.
Maybe I'll share that.
And there will be some other amazing speakers there, part of this movie. That let's speak to this a little bit if we can.
Okay.
That sometimes when we get invited to do something, there might be a little comparisonitis that could show
yeah.
up.
Oh, yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about how you handled that.
Well, Bob,
I'll be Bob today.
I can't handle it. I can't handle it.
Yeah.
Therefore, I can't be that person.
Oh, hold up. Let's dive into that for a second.
No, I cannot handle
be that person.
So what happened is they actually filmed this movie, and there was about 6. I'm probably not supposed to tell this, but it's just between all of us here on the internet. And maybe there's a few people, and they are maybe going to swap them out, or maybe they're going to add some new. And so I got to see some of the other people. So she got the call
to be able to speak.
And I shouldn't have, maybe I shouldn't have, but I looked at him and I'm like, oh no. And isn't it horrible that I think that? First of all, let's look at that reaction myself. I was like, oh no, they're so eloquent. They're so sophisticated. They have their jargon down. They know exactly, I help X achieve Y with my blah, 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 blah. And, you can tell they've done it so many times, and I was intimidated. And I started feeling like awkward. And that's when I was like, should I prepare something? And they're like, no, nothing. And so I felt that thing because I know anxiety, and I always describe it as this solid line. It's always on that side. And I was like, I can't be that person. I just have to go as if there's nothing at stake. It doesn't matter. I'm just there to have a great time with the person interviewing me and to play with the cast. And it's no different than going to Home Depot and buying salt pellets. It doesn't matter. It's just for fun. So that's huge for me because that's a big lesson in my life. There are certain things that I can't, the part of me that freaks out can't handle that kind of thing. Like, how should I sit? What should I wear? How should I hold my mouth? It doesn't
Do you guys relate to that? I sure do.
How do I move my hands? Oh my gosh, I'm laughing. And then you're laughing, ha ha ha. And you're like, oh, that sounds weird. And you're outside of yourself hearing your laugh. It's like, so that I can't be that person. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to be like the regular me, the me that I am with you.
The me we love.
The me that and that's enough.
The folks here totally understand you. We all have that in the mind. It's the judger. It's the one who's pulling you outside of yourself in not a healthy way.
Yeah.
And it's saying, I'm not enough.
Yeah.
I'm an imposter. Oh. Who do I think I am? They're way better than me. They're going to find out.
They've made more money than me. They have more degrees than me.
So you know what's so interesting about this? It's relative. Because if Sabrina was around other people who were playing in what we might judge, our judgment at a different level, then Sabrina wouldn't have any of that. So it's all in the mind and it's comparison. So how about we all stop comparing and start loving? That's the meme of the day. Stop comparing and start loving. Because
somebody email that to us.
There's no room for it. And you know what? We all know this. You can't give your best spontaneous downloads when you're in that reference point. No. And it doesn't matter. I said to Sabrina, I said, well, my mom's not in her body anymore, and my father's not in his body anymore. And I'm certain if they had an interview, they wouldn't give a hoot. Because it's all silly, right? Like when you have awakening, that was to me was an awakening moment. It's like, what matters? Fear only can matter when you're in a physical body. Because the mind sends feelings and the body feels them, and then there's nerves and anxiety. You might think anxiety is only in the mind. It gets stuck in the body. The body has a feeling and it starts looping. Ugh. When you don't have a body, you don't have that kind of fear. Yeah. So how about we just drop it all and just...
Yep.
And here's what I love about this. Look at this person. She's so amazing. She's so eloquent. She's so intelligent. She's got her jargon down.
I know.
Yes, you do. It's all so crazy. It's so crazy. Yeah. So crazy.
But and isn't it okay? So I let's say with the physical body, I coach a lot on saying, don't compare yourself to another woman's body.
Right.
That if you're a Cocker Spaniel, don't look at a Great Dane and judge yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, here it is staring me in the face. There's some Great Danes in this movie.
Mm.
But so what? I'm an incredible Shih Tzu, right? Just and to stop that, isn't it okay if someone makes $100 million a year, and isn't it okay if someone else is like an Olympic champion, and isn't it okay if someone else has a billion views on a TED Talk? Does that make me less? And that's my own thing. And isn't it okay to celebrate? Right? To celebrate, especially like the sisterhood, and this is all about women empowerment. I'm in a movie about to empower women, and I'm judging the other women. Hello?
And she's exposing all of this for us to
Yeah.
be able to grow, and because she's seen through it.
Yeah.
This is the mirage of the mind. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, but if I can celebrate all their wins,
Mm-hmm.
then I can celebrate mine.
Yeah.
You guys get that? Like when you can celebrate other people's beauty and not compete with it, you can celebrate your own. When you can celebrate someone else's level of fitness,
Mm-hmm.
then you can celebrate your own. But as long as you're picking apart, oh, look at her, blah, 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 look at her, blah, blah, you're going to do that to yourself. You're only doing it to them because you do it to yourself anyway.
I think it's so wonderful when these things show up.
Yeah.
Because they're opportunities for deeper lovemaking with soul and source. Because when we're just in the divine, that person is gone. The soul, the being, the truth that we are, that Sabrina is, doesn't have any of that. And so how wonderful to have contrast. How about that when it shows up, in whatever way it shows up for you, that you go, ooh, there's something good for here for me.
Oh yeah, I'm so glad that I felt what I felt when I was trying to go and watch the different people's interview, and I was thinking, I probably shouldn't be in this movie. That's what I thought for a minute.
I love that you're exposing that.
Yeah.
It's very powerful.
And what's funny is the interviewer in one of the ones that I watched said that the most successful people texted her after the movie and said, was that okay? Was that all right? And she was sharing how we all have that side
Everybody
of
in
ourselves.
one way or another. It's, again, it may not be triggered in certain environments, but you know what's good? To keep expanding, to keep saying yes for more. Like I got invited to open up a mastermind for Marcy Shimoff a couple weeks ago.
No, you did it this
A
week.
week or so ago. In the past, I would have felt nervous with that invitation because of my projection onto who invited me and who else was going to be there and the partners that she has. And I just thought, well, isn't this funny? This didn't trigger me this time. So what has changed? What's changed? I've expanded into who and what I am.
Yep.
I see it and caught it. But the only way, and we said this to our friends on the 3-day, the only way to face that and move through it is to do what Sabrina's doing. Say yes and go and do it anyway.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you'll see it for what it is.
Yep.
It drops.
And then do it again and do it again until you are that.
But not from the place of trying to perfect yourself so you won't feel judged.
Yep.
For the opportunity to drop it.
Yep. And super cool, just following gut. Marcy wrote and thanked us so much, and it's Marcy and Sue Mortar and Lisa Gar. Like that was so perfect, and I wrote back, "Thank you. We love doing it." And they're looking for movement for every day, and so we mentioned how we do sort of the fitness fusion, and she's like, "You are invited to next year already."
Yeah. But the only way to get into these spontaneous states where the best of you comes through is to practice putting yourself in environments that it pulls it out of you. Like going live for the first Trisbrina show. We were a little bit nervous. Why? Because we're human. We're all human. It's okay. Stop judging ourselves. Let it be there. Love through it, and then you just see it for what it is.
And that there's always a blend. Like, let's say going live for the first Trisbrina show is a blend of we care what people think about us, and We want to show up as our best selves for you. Like, to me, there's always this duality, and
Yeah.
it's which one do I want to slip into? Oh, I feel a little bit anxious because I want to show up as my best version of myself. And that's what I feel about this movie. Like, in the very short interview, I have no idea what she's going to ask me, and I have no idea what I'm going to say. But it's very relaxing too. um and then it's just like, may I, just channel love.
Yeah,
Channel
that's
love.
the key.
And then guess what? What's the worst thing that could happen? I get cut out. Oh well, life goes on. Right?
It's just lovely
Or I'm a star of the movie. Oh well, life goes on. Same.
yeah. It's really beautiful to play. Today, when I went live, the technology went,
Tonight with the show?
this show, the whole computer locked up. And in the past, had that happened when I was just learning to go live, I would have been very, very nervous because I hadn't had that happen before. And I would know the email went out and people are trying to get here and I don't want anyone to be upset. And do I have time to reboot the computer? And la da 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 da. And tonight, you know what happened? I clicked it, everything locked up. I rebooted the computer, everything came back up. I pushed the button. I got the text that I needed. I dropped it in. I told Sabrina's brother, hey, we got to do this, change that. Went live. Here we are. And have a blip. Not one blip because of practicing and staying in the spontaneous moment.
Yep. But it's the same thing in life, right? When stress is happening, sometimes the best thing you can do is unplug.
Unplug, baby.
Unplug, give it a minute.
Give it a minute.
Plug
Thank
back
you
in.
for joining us tonight.
I don't have my glasses, so I'm going to have to read your comments later.
Yes.
Evelyn will love them when she can see with her glasses.
We're going to go catch our flight. Thanks for being here. Bonnie says, I've noticed something quite astonishing. Success doesn't necessarily remove insecurity. We don't want our human removed, do we? No, we just want to choose love and flow. It's all good.
Because it keeps, I'll just say for me, I love being able to relate to others. I love the compassion that I can feel for others. So, like, if you've had a back injury and you can relate to someone else who has, or you have some fears and you have some self-consciousness, you can be such a great help, assistant, teacher, angel, example for someone else that has. And so I think there's a little blessing in still being able to smell it almost. Because I know I'm going to have a great time. I'm going to have an absolute great time tomorrow at that thing. I'm going to look as good as I can look, and I'm just going to have a great time. But I still know all that stuff that can happen, and that's what makes it so beautiful.
Yay for spontaneity.
Thursday.
Sabrina Show. We'll see you all next week. Thanks for joining us. Have an incredible weekend. And if you're in our classes, we'll see you Saturday morning. Bye now.